Hello everyone, this is Ibrahim Mutiu Olajide with reg number U23DLCS30013, and this is a presentation for Web Application Engineering 2 Course 405 group assignment under the group D. And in this video, I'm going to be showcasing the finished product of our news web application that has the capability to add news to database and also to do some basic filtering and validation before actually sending this data to the database. Now, this is instruction for submission. I'm just going to be skipping that and going straight to the main task. Now, for the task one, your task is to create HTML5 prototype and relevant CSS rules for the mockup provided below. So we have our short guide here, which is use proper HTML page 5. Secondly, use HTML5 element where appropriate. And lastly, CSS style rule are consistent across all pages. So these are the guidelines we have to make sure that we follow. Now we have our mockup down here, which says we're expected to implement the HTML and CSS code to achieve this design here. And this design include header, content, and filter. We also have dotted line, but it is not required. We also have hyperlink for navigating links with the 5 provided images in our resource.zip file. So our images can also be found in the resource.zip. We also have each image should have a hyperlink which can link to the list.html. I guess that's what they're saying. Secondly, or next, for now, 4 news categories should link to list.html. The add news image should link to art.html as well. So we also have to ensure that all pages use the same font scheme of our choice. Now, if we are to use any font family size, we have to make sure we specify this clearly in our CSS file, which is going to be the style.css. We also are instructed to use the layout to be grid. And if we're using the table layout or simple flow layout are accepted but receive less mark. So finally, we're to include our name, registration number, and year at the footer of the page. So this is how the mockup looks like, and this is the dotted line, which said is not really important. So we're going to be following this news box, all the news in the box, all news, politics, technology, sport, and add news strictly. So let's go to our project. Now we have our project file in a folder called the COSC405. So you can see it here. You can see our resources, which has already been extracted. We also have some other files like the data.txt, which are gotten from the resource.zip as well. So we also have the form validation, and we are going to be seeing some of these scripts later in this presentation. So the next thing I want to do is, since I'm using Kali Linux, I already have my Apache server and the phpMyAdmin for the database already installed, but I'm going to be showing you how you can start these services. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move to my terminal, and from the terminal I can use the instruction sudo service apache 2 to view my server status, if it is active or if it is inactive. So you can see that our server is currently active and it is enabled, which is fine. So we're going to be checking the second one, which is the MySQL. So let's go ahead with MySQL. So you can also see that the MySQL is also in running state and it's also enabled. So what I'm going to do is close this. We're going to clear, and let's move straight to this. So from here, we can try to access the index.html so far. So let's go to a new tab, and then we're going to access the localhost slash the course folder, which is COSC405. Then we're going to specify the file name, which is index dot for now html. So this is going to load the index.html for us. You can see this is exactly like the mockup that we have in here. And if you want to view the source code for this page, you can as well go to the COSC405 and go to the index.html and open it with a text editor of your choice. So I'm going to close these other ones so that we have just the index.html. So this is what we have. So you can see that this is from the header here, this is the header. We have the content section, which carries the entire content. We also have the footer section, which is the bottom of the page, which we are expected to put in our reg number, our name, and year. So let's go back to our script. You can also see that we implemented some class here which are already specified in the style.css when we are styling it, but I'm just going to be skipping that. So let's go to the next section here. So the next section says we should recreate the following wireframe using HTML CSS. That is from the index.html. That's what it is pointing to. You should reuse existing element from the first page to save development effort. Pay attention to the required form element for each field, text, text area, and select box. Finally, the category field should allow only politics, sport, or technology as option to select. So if I go down here, you can see the mockup for the add.html, which is what we are trying to create here. So this is what we're expected to have. And if you go back to our project, if you click on this add news, which is going to take you to add.html, you see that we have our page add.html looking like the mockups that we have here with the same structure of the index.html, which is the header, content, and the footer. Now we have some instruction which we're expected to implement here. For example, the following field must contain input, and if they do not, then the form should not submit. So this is a form. So if a user omits any of the title, link, summary, we should not be able to submit that form. But in the case of the submitter or the submitter, it is optional. So whether the user add the submitter or not, we should be able to submit that particular form. So we're going to be testing this validation right now. So let's go ahead with this. So this is going to be the title. I'm going to copy. Let's add it here. In the case of the link, I'm going to copy. We're going to put it in here. And for the content or the summary, I beg your pardon, I'm going to copy that and I'm going to add it in here. For category, I'm going to add politics. And for submitter, let's just leave this blank for now. So let's test these first three input field and see if it is being validated. So if I remove the content here and try to submit, you see that we get an error message which says please fill out the form, and this is what they are saying here. So it says to complete this task you can use JavaScript or a combination of JavaScript and jQuery. You should test that form submission work according to the rule specified, which is the rule that has already been pointed out here. So if we go to here, you can see it. If I try to submit, it is properly validated in such a way that without the input feed here, we are unable to submit our form. So let's just put the input feed back and let's cut out the link and try to submit. You can also see we cannot submit until we supply a proper link. So let's see. So even if I remove, let's cut this out. and try to just enter a random value and say link, and I try to submit. You see that it says please enter a URL, because this is not a URL because it has been properly validated. So I'm just going to enter a valid URL. Then for summary, I'm going to cut this and try to submit empty. And you can see it here that it says please fill out this field. So these 3 columns are properly validated according to the instruction. So now let's test the submit. What if we have an empty individual trying to submit? So I'm going to try to send this, and you can see that it's executed successfully. Although we are not linking this to any database yet, but it just reloads the page, means that we actually follow the instruction properly. Now, you might want to check the source file we used to validate this particular project in order to restrict the input field for the summary, the link, and the title, as well as to make the submitter optional. So the script we have used is it's called form validation.js, which we created. No, I don't need to rename that. Open this. So you can see this is how we renamed it. First of all, we actually selected the document using the query selector, which is form. Then we actually declared a constant for title, constant link, constant summary, constant submitter, and we are trying to retrieve this from the HTML file, which is the title, the link, summary, and the submitter. Then we're going to check these values if they are present. So if they are required, you can see that we're setting is valid equals to false, which means that if they are not present, we cannot send that particular form to the database. You can as well see the same thing is implemented for the link. The same thing is implemented for the summary. But in the case of the submitter, we just said if submitter and submitter.value.trim equals to null, no need. So we did not really perform any action in the case of this. So since it is not required, we're just going to allow the form to pass through our validation. So that is just that for the validation aspect of the script. So we've successfully completed task 2. The next thing we want to also do is see the task 3. For the task 3, we are asked to create a database called news item using the PHP tool. So let's see what we expected to do. So I can go back here and try to access my phpMyAdmin. So I can say localhost / phpMyAdmin. Also, it says you have been automatically logged out. So, okay, that's fine. So I'm going to log in. Let's close this. Using my, sorry about that. Using my login. My account is currently root. So I have successfully created a database called news item DB. Just to make sure that we are dealing with database here. Then we have a table inside the database called news item, and you can see it. We have total number of 19 item here. We have the ID column, title, links, and the likes, which is exactly what we are asked to do right here. So we're asked to create a database using this entity relational diagram, which we have here. We also have, as an evidence for successful creation of this database, you must create a table schema, which we have already created. I have the table schema already inside this file here. So you can actually see that this is our table schema. Let me just double click on that. Can I open that with browser? Okay, so this is our table schema. We actually got this from dbdiagram.io. So what we did was we copied out the SQL query we used to create our database, and then we take it to this site. It automatically generate our schema for us. So I'm just going to, you can see that we have just one primary key here, which is the ID, which we can use to reference any of these items we have here. So I'm just going to close this for now, and let's head to our task. Populate it with raw data from data.txt. So I've already done this. We already have our data.txt, which is contained here. So what I did is, let's see, I think I have that here. No, not this one, sorry. Data.txt. Okay, so you can see this is the data.txt. So actually use the SQL query to, you can see while we are inserting this data.txt into the database here. So we have about 5 records, and we created about 11 dummy records and everything, and the one for testing, so making it about 19 records that we already have in our database currently. So let's go back here, export the schema, which I've already shown you, to a text file called news. Okay, let me go again. Export the schema and data to a text file called news.sql. We've done that already. So if you check the file, the COSC405 file here, we have a file called news.sql. Okay, so which has already been done. So let's go back. We've completed this. You can also query from here. You can search for items. So let's say this is ID number 3, which is Ibrahim Mutiu. So I can even go to my database here and query ID equals to 3, enter, or you can click on go. So you can see that it's going to bring a record. Let's see, show all. Okay, yeah, this is a record. So you can see it's going to bring the record, ID number 3, sport, this, blah, blah, blah. The major football tournament kicks off today, Ibrahim Mutiu Olajide, blah, blah. So that is the record we just fetched out. So for task 4, we're expected to create the PHP file, create a new PHP file called this. So we're going to use the initial file we've created already, which is the index.html. So we're going to replicate it, but this time we're going to be adding the functionality of sending data. In the case of the add.php, we're going to be sending any data in the form to the database. We're also going to be using some PHP scripts to list different categories and stuff like that. But we're going to be taking a look at it in details in just a jiffy. So let's go back here. We're done with this. You can also try to access the list.html. Okay, I didn't really add that. But you can as well add that. So let's go ahead and just implement that. Let's see, do I have that here? Let's see. Okay, I only created one sample, but you can as well create the same one. The only thing you have to do is just remove the initial one. But since we're not going to be sending data, I just left that out. And let's see, let's go back, and I'm going to be using index.php now. So we have the same interface, just like the index.php. So the next thing we want to do is we want to test. Let's verify what we want to test. Okay, so the behavior of the add.php is self-referencing and should follow the diagram given below. If the script is accessed using HTTP, then the form should be displayed to add a new item. Otherwise, if the script is accessed using HTTP post, then the form should be added to the database. So what we're going to use to do here is we're going to see what we have in the where's the add.php. Where are you? Okay, yeah, great. So this is the add.php. So you can see it here. We send the data using post. Let's see. So in the case whereby let's see the condition if. So if we're sending with post, if it's equals to post, what is expected to happen is the information is expected to be sent to the database. So you can see what it is doing. It's inserting all the items in the form into the database, starting from the title up until the last one, which is the submitter or the submitter. So let's go ahead. So for the okay, for this one, it says test the script by adding more fictional new item data to the database. So we're going to be testing that right now. Let's see. Let's test that out. So with the same data, presidency. For the link, I think we have link here. For the summary, let's use this. Category is politics. Submitter is, I'm going to be using the lecturer name again. We already have an existing record for this name, but I'm still going to just use it. So I'm going to submit and we get news item added successfully. So we can validate this by checking our database. So let's go to our news item and scroll down. You can see that now we're having 20 items. Initially we're having 19, and you can see it, Presidency Supreme Court declined to sack Tinubu. So we also have the link. We have the Supreme Court Monday dismissal. This is summary, the name of the submitter. We also have the category, which happens to be politics. So you can see that we have properly inserted the data to the database. Now, we can as well go back to the prototype here. So it says the final feature of the application is to allow user to select the news they want to focus on by clicking one of the category image on the index.php. So let's go to the index.php. Index.php. So we should be able to filter by any of this category. Remember, we just added politics. So let's say we want to view a news pertaining to politics. So I'm going to just click on this, and you can see that we have all the news relating to politics. All the categories are strictly politics here. So you see the last one we just added here. Okay, good. So let's go back and see what next. Instead of all item being listed, modify the URL parameter, e.g. list the PHP category equals to sports. So what we're asked to do is to follow this kind of listing to have a parameter which will be equals to a specific value, and that value is going to be equals to the category value. So to implement this, we can see how we actually did that. Let's go to our list.php. So on the list.php, you can see from this plot here, from our query here, we said select everything from news item where category equals to the value of the category. And you can see how we are retrieving the value for the get category here. So that is where we actually did that. Then for our filter, you can see it here. Do we also have any other thing? Not really. So if we go to the page here, let's go to our project and let's go back before we click. So if we hover around this, even before you click, just hover around this. If you check the bottom left corner of your screen, you can see that we are following the same URL structure, which is our URL slash list.php endpoint with the category parameter equals to the category value. So we can as well filter by technology. You can see it here. We are only filtered by only technology. So let's go back and see what next. And modify list of PHP to handle this get request such that only a particular category of news is displayed. So once you click on a specific category, only that particular category is being displayed on the screen. So you can see that we are actually implementing this. If I click on sport, every item I'm going to be seeing is supposed to be related to sport alone. So you can see it here, just one item here as sport category, and it is from Ibrahim Mutiu. You can see it here. If you go back to technology, you see that every item here is based on technology and nothing more from sport or politics on the screen right now. So let's go back. We also have okay, we've done this. As a final touch, modify the header of the page to reflect the current category of the news. So let's go ahead. If you go back, so whenever you click on a specific category, you see that it carries the particular category you're actually filtering with. So you can see that right now we are filtering by technology. So at the top of our header, it says category technology. So you can see it. You can as well go back and test this on other category as well. So let's test it on politics. So on politics, you can see that we have category as politics. Now we even implemented the all news in such a way that if an individual wants to view news from any of all these categories, you can just simply click on the all news, and then you're able to see every item on the list, which is about 20 items currently here. And modify the header to reflect the current. Okay, I think we have done that, e.g. newsbox technology. But we actually implemented this using category is technology instead. So if you go back to our project here, you can as well go to the COSC file, and you might have access to our styling as well. So let's open this with Notepad. So you can see the styling we use, which is an external CSS styling here. So you can see the CSS file. You can see the font we use, which is the Arial sans serif font family. But the background colors, the headers, the styling, the font size, the text align, and every other thing that we used during the course of the project are all in this COSC405 folder. So guys, that will be all for now. I guess I'll see you next time. Bye bye.